All right, welcome everybody inside the den here, Fox 5 Studios. It might be the hottest it's ever been for Dry Heat with Mike Davis because I am joined by a guy I've been waiting to get here in the den on Dry Heat. He calls it Dry Heave because he has to just, screw with me. But his name is Fat Jack Ross. Fat Jack Ross joins me. Betting analyst, sports analyst for over 25 years in the business. People love this guy. We love him. You're on so many of our shows. Are you going to call it Dry Heat or Dry Heave?
I'm surprised everybody's not calling it Dry Heave. I thought that had taken off and I was just late to the party. It reminds me of like an adult film gone bad.
Really? Are you fluid with those? You know a lot of adult films?
I've been on the apps a couple of times back in the day, but no, now but if I was going to make a bad one, that's where I would start, Dry Heat.
So you don't like the name?
No, I love the name. It says all you need is, but it's like naming a kid Patty and then having him be 400 pounds and being upset when they call it Fatty Patty.
It's interesting you brought this up because listen, your name's Fat Jack, but you're a svelte guy now. So so tell me, why were you called Fat Jack?
I used to weigh. First of all, I could remedy that right now. I'll show you the. I'll show you the goods. No,
you're in good shape. You're in good
because
shape. How old are you?
I have a Shar-Pei attached to my stomach for sure.
How old are you?
I'm 55.
You look very good. You're youthful. You're energetic. You're in good shape. But you used to be how?
I'm good
big?
From here, and I'm good from the midsection down. In the middle, we've got some trouble spots. I used to weigh 350.
Wow.
A big boy. I look like Newman from Seinfeld. I was like a 52-28 pants. I was that guy. And what happened, I played football growing up, played a lot of sports, but when I got out of college, I kept eating as if somebody was playing sports, hated exercise, and so I just got bigger and bigger. And unfortunately, I was married to a woman who thought I was attractive no matter what. Like I would show up and I'd be like, these pants, these 40 or 52 waist pants are tight. You've shrunk my laundry again. I would tell her that, and she'd be, you look incredible to me. I don't think
so.
It's you.
So many questions. One,
she's an enabler.
What was your playing weight?
You're like 265.
And you're from Oklahoma. You played in high school, and then you actually played in college too.
I started in college, but quickly into college realized that I was not going to.
And where did you play?
I signed with Texas Tech out of high school and went there for about 25 minutes and realized I went on the recruiting trip. Realized I'm out of my league, and then I thought, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I went, and for literally 3 days of camp, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I got hurt a little bit, but honestly, I was done. So I left, and then I went and played golf in Arkansas at Ouachita Baptist University, which is the opposite of Texas Tech football team. So
wow,
went and played golf in college in Arkansas, and then came back to Oklahoma, met my wife, and got fat.
So you were a big boy, and then you're playing football and all this stuff. But then after the training of football, once you stop that and you're still eating at that level, that's how you.
I turned into Newman. Yeah, you just kept eating, and I had one of those mirrors, although it was in my brain, that when I looked at the mirror, I like, you look pretty good.
But you seem like, this is why I love you. You have such a great energy. You're one of those people, you really could be in my position and just be hosting a daily show because you have such an interesting life. You're very open. You're interesting. You're engaging. Were you happy even when you were at that way, or you were happier? Or have you always been the same, or are you a happier person now? Because I only know Skinny Jack.
No, I was happier then, for sure.
You were?
Yeah, when you can go into a buffet and you can eat anything you want all the time. I would go down to Caesar and just knock it out, everything. And I loved food. And so did my wife. So we got bigger and bigger together. And then now I had surgery. It's not like I started exercise. Let's not, I'm not going to spring my arm, pat myself on the back. I had a gastric sleeve put in. And so I lost the weight. But I can't enjoy food that much. So that has been a problem. My wife's a chef. She has cookbooks and stuff. So all of that part, we really built our relationship around, we had to kind of adjust. But the problem is you don't see any 85-year-old, 350-pound people running around. So most of the time, they're done by then. I wanted to see my grandkids, so had to do something. But no, I was definitely.
And you did Ozempic and all that stuff too, did you or not?
My wife does Ozempic.
Yeah.
I tried it. The surgery did enough for me, so I don't do the shots because the surgery really helped. I lost about 120 pounds in about a year and a half, and so I've been able to.
But a lot of people, they do that procedure and it doesn't work. So for you, it did.
If you drink, it doesn't work. I don't drink alcohol. I never have. And ice cream, that type of stuff, you eat that, that's another problem. I stay away from that. I'm kind of a meat and potatoes guy. And alcohol is the big one, though. You get a lot of those empty calories, and I don't drink, so that really helped me.
Gotcha. So fascinating. So, okay, so here's the crazy thing. So while you're playing football, you're doing all this stuff, you actually start your profession in college because that's when you start sports gambling. And you didn't think this is going to turn into your like profession and your so-called calling. What were you studying and how did that work out?
I think it's like a stripper. You never intend on ending up there. You can't major in it in college. You're like, this is just how my life goes. This is what I'm good at.
But what did you think you wanted to do?
If I have good pole skills, then I'm going to end up there. This deal, I happen to have some skills. I thought I was going to do real estate. I got my real estate license.
And you still dabble in that.
I did, yeah. We had a couple hundred places at one time at a mobile home park. Really built that up back when I was younger. And then I started gambling, and I like everybody else, started losing at gambling because that's what people do, and started losing more and more because I had more and more disposable income, and took a break and decided, okay, you need to figure out what's going on to at least be able to not go broke, or you're going to have to stop. And through about 2 years of figuring out how the lines are set and who's doing that and what's causing the numbers to change and all the different things, along with the X's and O's of football, which I knew, I was able to scratch out a profit. Well, that turned into scratch out more and more of a profit, and I was betting higher amounts because I had a real estate company that was making good money. And then when you're in Oklahoma, it's illegal, so you're betting with the illegal bookies. Everybody's a good bookie when you're losing. But when you start winning, some of those guys become a problem. So then it would become, I'd go play golf with my buddies and people that owned radio stations, actually, and they would hear me screaming at the bookies.
Because you would be winning and they wouldn't want to pay.
They wouldn't want to pay, yeah.
So what do you do in that situation? Because, of course, like the movie version of this is the guy that has a gambling problem. He loses. The bookie says, "Where's my money?" The guy's like, "I don't have it." And then they break his legs. What do you do in the situation when it's reversed and you're so good, but you can't go break the bookie's legs, can you?
You know what? I've calmed down a lot. But I will tell you that my friends will tell you I'm feral. And
like, what's the craziest thing you ever did to get paid?
I drove my car into the bookie's front yard over his hedge. It was actually a Jeep. And I drove the car into his front yard, into the hedge. So I was basically parked on his front porch.
Yeah.
And got out and went up and said, I need X today. That's when I decided gambling in Oklahoma is no longer an option.
So you were dealing with Oklahoma bookies. Now, an Oklahoma bookie does that person look like Jason Statham? Do they look like Tony Soprano, or does it just look like a dude you can beat the crap out of?
All types. And I quickly, this is about a year process where a lot of them owed me, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. And that was before the climate is now.
Are there still you still have debts out there that people should be paying you?
No, they all paid me off, yeah.
So how much money would you say you've won in sports gambling before you even transition to helping other people, just for yourself personally?
I mean, a lot.
What's a lot? Is that 50,000? Is that 50?
No, they owed me
million. I don't know.
Yeah, they owed me 150,000 back in 1998. I mean, yeah. So that was 1 year worth of.
So it's So you're a guy, which is fascinating here, is that you really have like a addictive personality. That's why I think I'm so drawn to you, is because I feel so reserved. I feel like I'm constantly in just disciplining myself on a daily basis. And you're one of these guys, whether it was food was an addiction that you had, sports gambling, you're able to actually overcome these things and manage them, which most people can't.
It's why I don't drink, because I'm positive if I drank, I'd be in jail. I mean, I would drink too much, become an alcoholic, and have big problems. So I don't drink at all, never have.
You never had one sip?
I mean, I've had...
You're like President Trump. He never.
No. I had daiquiris, or I had a Cape Cod one time.
Cape Cod. You had like a Shirley Temple. Have you ever had a drink? Like, have you had an old fashioned?
I had a drink of a Long Island, or about a third of a Long Island iced tea back in college.
Little girl drink.
I've never. No,
I never had just like JMO ginger.
No, none of that.
Whiskey sour.
The worst case would be if I liked it. I mean,
you have one of those personalities. You're kind of drunk all the time.
It would be ugly, and I'm afraid I'd be the violent one. I'd be the grumpy one, the guy that shows up. You have those buddies, you show up, and they immediately are mad, and they want to fight you because they're drunk. I mean, you don't have those guys?
You feel like you'd be like that guy.
I might be that guy.
Who was your first girlfriend? When did you have your first kiss?
Well, those are different things. I mean, in 7th grade, I had a buddy of mine who was.
I'm trying to figure out like how big of a player, what kind of guy you were
So
growing up. Like, did you become cool or were you always cool?
I was very popular in high school. I was up for homecoming. It was a big high school. Played multiple sports. And 7th grade, I was literally with my buddy, who is now the mayor of a city in Norman. He was about 4 foot, and this girl was like 6 foot. And he was going over to make out with her, and he said, "Hey, I need you to come. She's got a friend." And I said, "Okay, I'll go." And then he taught me how to kiss on my arm on the way over there. So
show me that.
Yeah, given we got this, that whole thing. I'm sure it was horrible, but literally, I'm halfway. I look over, and there's a 6 foot, 4 foot.
So they were making out.
We kissed a little bit, but that was my first kiss. First girlfriend, 8th grade. Dated all the way through.
And when did you lose your virginity?
Between junior and senior year.
Of high school.
Wow. Yeah. I was 17. Cars are bad for that stuff.
You did it in a car?
No, under a tree outside.
Really?
Yeah. Convinced her nobody was watching. It was in a neighborhood that was being built,
And this was, what was going through your head?
At that time, I was like, God, I hope nobody's watching. You're at that age. You're living in Oklahoma. There's nothing to do. So you're gonna figure it out. What's funny is this same girl who is an administrator in the school system.
You still know her. You know what she's doing.
She texts me a lot. Yeah,
the girl you lost your virginity to, you still text with.
Absolutely. Yeah, my wife knows her too. So, and I'm pretty sure that she'd like to get back with me if something would happen to my wife.
Are you serious?
I'm not sure. She's married too.
How do you know what's up with her? You looked her up on Facebook?
No, she texts me. I stay in touch.
You didn't have cell phones when you're back
now.
with her?
No, but
so how did you reconnect?
I see her around. Oklahoma's a small place. I'd go to my kids. My kids were in Little League, the same place she was an administrator, and we just kept in touch. I'll show you the text thread. It's saucy. Nothing illegal though, and my wife knows about it, so it's nothing big. But she actually, her husband blindfolded her and took her to this. Said we're going to do these family photos, and it was a surprise for like Mother's Day. They show up. She takes the blindfold off. It's under the tree that she and I first.
He did that on purpose?
No,
or just
he did not. No, by accident. There's a straight.
Oh my God.
And she said, and so there is a picture in their house right now. He does not know this. Hopefully, he does not watch Dry Heave because that's not going to be pretty.
So she told you after she took these photos, "Hey, by the way,"
she called me. "You'll never believe what happened." And she said, "Over my mantle is a family photo of my family under the tree that you took me to." It was, and I said, "You know what? I will always be in your life, even when I'm not in your life." So, but he didn't know that. So,
do you actually think she loves you more than the guy she married? Because I'm curious. Because you listen. You have kids. You have one. You have a daughter. You have a son who's married. You're somebody you ask more about my dating life than my parents. Like you're very
interested.
You're interested in those things. Do you think that you only have one love in your life? Like when you talk about your wife and the fact that she loved you so much, it didn't matter how big you were. Like that's such a loving thing. That's a rare kind of love. Do you think there's only one person like that in the world for people, or do you really think you could end up with zillions of people just making it work? What's your take?
Absolutely. From my experience, I met the only person in the world that could live with me and be married to me for 30 years. For sure. I do not believe anybody else. I would end up on Cops or something. I mean, it would be a horrible, dysfunctional relationship if I was with most women long term. I met literally an angel. This woman, I love her more than anything in the world. We've been married 33 years. Unbelievable lady. She could be married to 100 people. So I don't think there's one person for everybody. I said some people like me, there's one person. I don't think there's anybody else.
But for her, she could be with.
She is so
why do you
marketable.
think she loves you? And how did you meet her?
She's loyal, and she came in drunk on a sorority party, a fraternity party, and into a restaurant that I worked at. And
and you were a waiter, and you said you had some game actually before you met. Of course, we know about the tree. We know about, but you would actually be a waiter and you'd be hitting on women while you were working.
Even fat, I could get things. Now, I needed a good-looking guy to run point because girls do not want to open up to somebody that's even a little bit that fat. I wanted to play out of my league. Similar to you. You like to play out of your league. Get the girls that are a little bit hotter than you. I get it. I mean, I'm trying to go there too. And so I would have a good-looking guy friend that would have to help
So,
run interference.
This is one of those things where it's just the classic movie trope of it's like the Shallow Hal kind of. It's just, you were the guy who had this amazing personality, but nobody would look at you from an outside
And not
perspective.
nobody, but the girls I wanted.
The girls
to
you
look at me.
wanted.
Yeah.
So you were like kind of trapped in this sense because you have this tremendous personality. If somebody gets the ball rolling,
It
you
helps.
can make it work.
that and alcohol both helped. Yeah, you want the girls
What
to
did
drink
that
a little bit.
seriously though? What did that feel like? That must have been sad. Were you
No,
sad or you just you?
It's a game. It was all a game. When you're single, you're just trying to meet people. But waiting tables really help because you get wait staff. They're normally good-looking people, and you get time to kind of wear them down. Because your personality comes through. They get to know who you are. Now it'll be so much tougher now. The apps. Everybody says the apps help.
Yeah.
I don't know if they help. Guys like me that really I need a little bit of time.
Right.
They're not helping.
So give me an example. Like you I think you even said older women. Sometimes you were when you would.
Yeah.
So make pretend I'm a older, nice looking lady, and you're a wait staff guy.
I mean,
before you meet your wife.
It's not customers.
But just
I mean,
like
it's
it
normally
wasn't customer.
normally not customers. Karen was a customer. Yeah, she was.
Your wife
And
was
she
a
hit on me too, by the way. She started with me. I walked through
So who would you hit on before Karen?
wait staff. The
Just
other
wait.
way.
It wasn't a
Or
diner.
parties. We could play softball league and you get the girls at softball. Just social settings where you've got good looking people and me. And I don't want to make it sound like I was.
It was more of a Jim and Pam kind of thing. Once people get to know you in the office setting, they really start to enjoy who you are as a person.
Yeah, that, or I would say Chandler Bing and Monica.
Gotcha.
So Jim and Pam, I think they kind of worked together before
Right.
he became an international spy or whatever. But Chandler, nowhere near hot enough to be dating Monica from Friends.
So it was one of those things.
Took a little
and
bit of
then
time,
what
yeah.
happened? So Karen hits on you.
I walk through, I wasn't even waiting on the table, and she looks up in her drunken stupor and says, "You are sexual chocolate," to me like that.
Wow.
And I said, "Baby, you're white mocha," and I just kept walking. And
Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said back. So
Very quick.
Very quick, yeah. Because I was in a hurry to
So
get to the place.
Karen's a lot because I've met Karen when you guys were out to dinner once. I didn't realize she's a little bit. I thought she was more reserved. She's a lot like you.
A lot like me. When she drank, she's been sober for 18 years. But when she drank,
she was.
oh my gosh! But she's
her
not
drinking is like you sober.
exactly. But she's not. She's out there also. Very very well liked. Everybody loves her personality, that type of stuff. But yeah, she had liquid courage some too, and
And I
it
think
worked.
you once told me. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think you once told me. Once you guys spent that night, it was over.
It was over.
You guys were together
That day.
for the rest of the time.
Yeah, that day, honestly. And I was kind of seeing another girl. I mean, a really good looking girl. Karen was good looking, but not like this girl. Was good looking. I mean, this girl was smoke show. But Karen,
Who was the other girl? What was her name?
her name was Debbie. She was actually an OU Palm and was a
What's an OU Palm?
cheerleader.
Sooner? Okay, she was a.
University of Oklahoma cheerleader,
cheerleader.
but Palm is like the dance team. And she waited tables at this same restaurant, which we were 3 dates in or whatever. I was kind of seeing her.
3 dates in, does that mean you're physical or no?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
It takes a little more time with that too. So,
Okay,
you
got
got to take them dinner a few times. But no, I was starting down the path with this girl. And then Karen, frankly, I thought was going to be an easy, slam dunk as far as having to get to have sex with her or whatever. So I'm like, I'll call her back. Let's do this thing. She was not. She didn't give anything up the first day, but I could tell almost immediately this girl is for me.
What was it? How can you tell that quickly?
She is. I took her to this restaurant that is called Swanks. It's out of business now. It burned down. It actually had lots of gang fights and stuff. But
Wow.
it was basically a motel with a 24-hour pancake place that had great pancakes and great ranch dressing. But the booths you had a bunch of hookers around that were smoking and truck drivers and stuff. Very, very seedy. That's where I took her the first date. I took a few girls to this place the first date, and the booths had the cushion, the foam was out, so
Yeah.
you're sitting in these holes and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can tell a lot about a girl when you take her to a place like that for a first date on how they respond. And she sat down there and we started eating, and she went, "These are the best flapjacks I've ever had in my life." She didn't say anything about anybody. She made friends with the waitress that was a little bit different, and friends with some of the truck drivers. She was very outgoing, very personable, and always rounded up. And I needed somebody in my life rounding up. So I thought,
Meaning she just saw
the good in all
glass
of it.
half full kind
Always.
of person. So
She's-
Debbie, did you take her to the same place?
Didn't take Deb because we had gone out as a group. She was going to get to go there, but it was going to be date.
So you
and-
took her there, and you're specifically taking her to a place that's a little downtrodden because you want to see how they respond to,
For sure.
you know, all that kind of stuff. Well, growing up, I've heard of. Tell me about your parents' situation a little bit, because I think you've told me before.
My mom and dad got married when they were in high school, ending high school. My dad was a All-American football player for a D2 school in Oklahoma. My mom was a cheerleader. They were married long enough to have me and got a divorce. Then my mom was married 4 other times, so 5 total times with 4 stepfathers in my house. So divorce was a real thing for me.
So your dad, when did you? What was it? How often did you see him?
You know, he would, and he's dead now, so rest in peace. But he would say he's going to come get me, and 1 out of every 10 times he'd say he's going to get me, he'd come get me. So
Wow. And you were an only child.
only child.
So that was crushing, right? I mean, because you're a little kid and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, my dad's coming to see me, and he would never so
Not show up,
9
yeah.
out of 10 times you're sitting on the step waiting for him.
I always said he never got the rule book for parenting.
Yeah.
You know, really for life. He was a great football player, but never really got the rule book for those type things. And he's passed away now. Was a great grandfather, all that kind of stuff. We reconnected later in life, and I'm glad he got to see my kids and vice versa.
But you forgave him.
Sure, yeah, you can't listen. Those type
Really?
things, people's shortcomings, you cannot hold that against them forever. That's energy on you. That takes things off of you when you do that. You've got to.
So you really believe in, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. That's
yeah,
what you believe?
that's right. I'm selfish
I
about
don't
it.
believe that.
Of course you don't. You're going to
Because
hold a
I'm
grudge.
Jewish.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to hold a grudge and move on.
But you really believe, and you're saying you never struggled with that. You just understood it at 7 years old when he doesn't show
No.
up, you get it.
I didn't forgive him at 7. By the time you get into your 20s and into the 30s, well, you've held this anger,
Yeah.
and it's not just him, but other people, and everybody has that. You have these people that have wronged you in your life, but you holding on to that is hurting you.
Was the eating something associated with that?
I just
or no?
love food.
You don't really think it was?
I don't. I ate.
What about all the stepdads walking in through the door?
You know, every one of them said, "I'm going to be your dad." None of them were ever my dad. So we would sit down. I would be like 12, and he'd be like, "I'm not going to try to replace your dad, but I want to be like, okay, you're on the clock, brother."
By the 4th time you hear that, you're like a 8-year-old, then you're like, this is BS.
Yeah, you're on the clock.
So
dude.
you
don't
just
even know
kind
it.
of were forced to become very quick and witty and just like
Yeah.
understanding emotional circumstances way before you probably should have.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we moved around a lot within the same town, and it was back in the 70s, early 80s when divorce was not. I mean, my mom was divorced, and that's
Right,
a
and
big
that was-
deal. I mean,
So did people look at you like
Some
this
did.
is the weird?
some did. We weren't the only one. We were in a big. This is where University of Oklahoma is. So there were a lot of people. But yeah, there was a stigma on coming from a divorced family, and so I dealt with a little bit of that, but not a ton. Athletics trump all of that. So if you're good at sports,
Right.
they'll
So
let
you
hang
had
out
the
a little more.
athletic thing going for you. Was the funny thing, did you become funny because you needed something to kind of as a buffer for all the craziness, or do you think it's just who you are?
It's all about girls, honestly. It was all about trying to break down the barriers with the ladies. So it came natural. My dad was very funny guy.
Yeah.
Later in life, I figured that out. My mom, not so much. But yeah, I feel it was a way to break down walls and stuff and become more well liked. A lot of people do that. So if you don't have the looks and stuff, and I was an ugly guy, but just
Yeah.
it was easier for me to break down the walls with humor. So, and I was a horrible student. So it started in class when I was, I was the guy saying stuff when I wasn't asked to say stuff just to get a laugh out of the group.
Gotcha.
So that type of stuff.
So all that interesting stuff, and then you end up on this crazy journey. You and Karen, you get together, and
Yeah.
you know it right away, and then you start this big business, this whole Fat Jack sports business. Now people literally, I mean, you come here, you do shows like you used to do Beat the Odds, you do Chat and Chalk or Chalk and Chat now, and all this great stuff, but you have people, because you're doing appearances on Sirius XM, ESPN Radio all the time, and you use the space sometimes for that just because you need it. But you really have a whole clientele list of people that subscribe to your service. I know you work in conjunction with Brandon, but people are really now paying you because they want to win at sports gambling. That's really what you do as a primary,
Yeah, it's such a shady deal. Handicapping in general is not not the most. It's like used car salesmen. You got guys that tote the note, guys that might
Yeah.
tell you anything, and then there are some people that are actually legitimate, that actually can win at sports. And so you say handicapper or whatever. It's a hard line. It's certainly not a union, and there's certainly not a lot of rules. But there are a few people out there like myself that have figured out a way to make money, and there's other people that have real jobs.
Now, most of your clientele, are they using, because since you started 26 years ago or something, it's a completely different world. You can just open up your phone now and sports gambling is legal, So are most of the people you're working with, are they sports gambling with FanDuel or DraftKings, or are they actually using bookies like you used to?
It's both. A lot fewer with the bookies, because they found the same thing I found, that bookies are all good when you're losing. When you're winning, they're not as good. So, and my clients don't all win. We don't win all the time, and they don't win every day. And frankly, if they get my stuff, it doesn't mean they're always going to win, because they're going to play their own stuff also. There's such a fine margin, fine line. So, but if you're disciplined, then you need somebody that's definitely going to pay. That's the thing.
And it's interesting because your clientele seems it's less so delinquents and more so like guys that are actually professionals, have a lot of money, and it's just like they're almost outsourcing the stress of trying to come up with those bets and just taking
and most of them couldn't do it if they wanted to, and they realize that. That's the thing, you have to take your ego out of it. But it's exactly that. They're doctors and lawyers, and they make, my average guy's 50 something, makes 6 figures, has a family, and even if he could win, he doesn't have time to figure out how to win. Most people can't. So he would rather, just like you would with a stockbroker or anybody else, outsource that to somebody that they trust, that they know are honest about it, and everybody's getting the same plays, all that type of stuff, and then allow them to either lose less than they would just betting their own games, or preferably win, right? I mean, that's the idea. But yeah, it's a niche deal for sure. I'm not a $20, pick of the day, lock of the century type guy.
How much money does it take to just get it set up with Fat Jack?
A couple $1,000 will get you football season, which breaks down to about $75 a week on average over the football season. And then you need to be betting probably $100 a game. I mean, that's the low end, $50 to $100 a game with my stuff. The last year, $100 player would have made about $3,000 after the fee, after everything. Football was over. They made about $3K. So a lot of guys, if you tell them right now,
so you invest 2 and you make 3, basically.
No, you make 5, which is going to give you 3.
3, yeah.
So
how often are you wrong?
I'm wrong a lot. I'm wrong 47% of the time, 46% of the time, whatever. I'm going to hit, and percentage is a tricky thing, because if I give you 4 picks and I hit 3 of them, I'm hitting 75%, but you're making 2 games, right? That's not a big deal. But with the volume I have, I mean, I'm going to be wrong. We were 4-2 last Saturday,
right? And
that's great. We're 14-4 on Saturdays. I was 1-3 on Sunday. So right one day, wrong one day.
And do you only, like, for instance, will you take money? You know the girl you lost your virginity to, who has the picture up in her home? Her husband, if he reached out to Fat Jack Sports to, like, work with you, is that a conflict of interest, or you'll work with him?
I wouldn't make him pay full price. He'd get to pay less. Because I appreciate him. I could never have married that girl. I mean, we were just high school whatevers. But yeah, no, it just depends. The only people I turn away are people that have gambling problems.
Right.
The minute that you show me you have any type of problem, your money gets back and you're done. I ban you. I don't have any interest in that. So, and then if I know you, pay less.
Do you realize that you're like a character from like a movie, like a supporting character in like a Woody Allen film, the type of person that would get like a nomination for an Oscar because it's such a vivid, well-written character? You're just like a character, like you're a character. Do you realize that, or is it just your real life?
Honestly, this is me. I know that I live an unusual life.
Like yesterday, you're telling me you see an Asian dude dying.
Yeah, he's dying
on Las Vegas Boulevard. Your phone's getting trampled across Las Vegas Boulevard. You stop traffic to go grab your phone. Like your life, your uncle passed away. Rest in peace.
It was a Wednesday.
It's just a Wednesday.
Very weird. Yeah,
it's weird. But that really, every time I see you, there's something.
Some of that's I create probably. Yesterday was not, or the day that happened was not created by me. I mean, my phone fell out. All those were mistakes. I didn't cause the guy to die or almost die. So the things that happened, I was not causing. Some of it I do bring upon myself because I don't have a lot of filter, as you know. Right. I kind of say what's on my mind, and I will push a little bit more with people if things don't go well than a lot of people. So some of it is probably I could reflect on myself, do some reflection, and be like, hey, you could live a calmer life. But I'm okay with where I am. I'm 55. I don't know I'm changing now, but yeah, I know that I live a different life than most people from the occupation on down.
What is it like? So you have a son who's married. You feel like she's Korean, so you feel like you're Korean now. Is that what you?
I feel like I have an in. I feel like I have an in with the Korean community.
You do,
which nobody believes that except me.
How did you get along with her parents?
One of them doesn't speak English like at all, which we get along great. The other one, there's so little in common. Like it had nothing to do with me is where I'm from. I'm from Oklahoma. I don't know that I knew a Korean person before they got together.
Really? And, you never? Yeah.
No, it's a middle America. So there's a Vietnamese community, but I don't know that I even knew anybody that was Korean. So we had to work through that. The shoes off in the house was a big one. I leave my shoes on all the time.
So when you went to their house,
when I go to my daughter-in-law and son's house, they make me take my shoes off.
And you're okay with that, or
No, it wasn't okay. I'm better now because I know it's a cultural thing.
So first time you're like, no, I'm not taking my shoes off.
We had flare-up. We had a couple flare-ups.
And what does she say, your daughter?
She tells my son
to yell at you because she's not going to yell.
Get in the middle of it because she didn't want to yell at me, which we worked through it. But I just was like, what? You grew up in my house. I mean, literally, you wore shoes everywhere. You put them on the couch, you put them on the table. And I didn't say a word. Now, all of a sudden, you want my shoes off when I walk. It just became a personal attack when I've now realized it really had nothing to do with me. Again, it's not about me. It's about that. But yeah, there was a period where we're trying to figure out who each other is. The first time I went out with her, actually, halfway through the meal, I said, how do you think this is going?
You asked her
that. during the meal. We're talking, where are you from and all that. And I said, how do you think this is going? And she said, not very well, but I'm optimistic it's going to get better. And I really liked her for saying it because she was absolutely correct.
She was honest.
Honest. We had nothing. She didn't know about sports.
Right.
She didn't know what Dumb and Dumber was.
The movie.
Step Brother. She didn't know what Step Brother. Who doesn't know what Step Brother is?
She's an intellectual girl. She went to a great college.
She used Chicago.
So she was a good, But so for you, I'm curious.
I'm not saying I'm better. I just was totally different.
As a grandparent, a guy who's thinking about his grandparents, being a grandparent, grandchildren, trying to take care of himself, having, a daughter-in-law, having a son who's married, a daughter who's probably dating, like all that stuff. What should people in my position think about like that when they take somebody to meet their parents? Like, what would you be happy for your son regardless of, even if you never liked her and she didn't say that to you on the date, would you just be happy for your son that he's happy, or did you want and have an expectation for the type of person you expected your son to marry?
Yes, all of that. You do have an expectation. If it doesn't go, you ultimately land on if they make. I do. I can't speak for your mom or your dad or other people, but I know with me, you ultimately land on marriage is hard, and most of them don't work. And I really don't want him to have to go through the pain of a divorce, and so that becomes the overriding thing. So they are super happy. I mean, they're both loyal. That's the whole thing. I look at people immediately and I think, are you a cheater? Or you're not a cheater? Because that's the thing. If you find somebody that can put up with you full time, all you have to do is be nice to them and don't cheat on them. Those are the two things. Because if you cheat on them, it breaks everything down.
Right.
It's easy not to cheat when you're 350 pounds and can barely find your private. So, I mean, I understand nobody's just beating down the door to have, with me.
Right.
But.
So you're looking at, what's her name again?
Her name's Ellie.
So you're looking at Ellie and you're trying on that first date to decipher whether this is somebody who has a proclivity for cheating.
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of it because especially guys, but guys and girls, there's always going to be an impulse or an instinct to variety. Spice of life, right? I mean, it's that survival thing. But are you able to not do that? So I was looking at that first because to me it's a big deal.
And you can pick that up. You could tell.
Sure, so right? I mean, you can tell.
And are you more intensified with your daughter bringing home a guy rather than your son bringing home a guy?
My daughter has never brought home a guy. And she says, I will meet one person, and it will be the person that she's going to marry. My daughter is very attractive and very well-liked and does date a lot. But she has never brought a guy home. My son brought 2 people. I don't think people want to put their dates in this smoke line.
Right.
I don't think they are aware this is not a good spot. And with her, it's absolutely a good rule because I would not be able to be nice to some dude who I'm buying dinner for now.
When you heard I was on Raya and your daughter's on Raya, you're like, you're not allowed to like her.
Don't
you even like
think
me.
about it. First of all, it would be awful. You would hate her and you'd hate me more because of who she is. But Yeah, but no, I don't want anybody I know dating. And I only want to meet one guy. I'm perfectly okay with that. She can handle herself, and so I know nothing's bad gonna happen. But yeah, it's a tough thing. But you ultimately land on, you don't want them going through divorce. You want your kids to not have to deal with that, and you want them to live a happy marriage. So even though I had nothing in common with Ellie, nothing in common with her family, we figured it out. My wife loves everybody, loves love, all of that. I'm not that way, but we figured out a sweet spot. So
wow,
it's good.
A few last things as we're wrapping up, because I feel like we've learned so much about you today, and there's just so much going on. We got about 5 minutes left. How about some general life advice? I feel like Fat Jack, you give advice when it comes to sports betting, but I think for this audience, people love how open you are, probably how raw you live your life. So you say no tricks, no gimmicks, just winners. That's what you say for Fat Jack Sports. FatJackSports.com.
Yeah, that's a slogan from like 2001.
I think it still works.
Yeah.
So let's do this. How about no tricks, no gimmicks, just winners, but for life advice? Let's hear from you. And you can look right in that camera, and I want you to tell our audience a few things.
So number one, I would say, and I was not prepped on this, so this is just off the cuff, but number one is don't get married to anybody unless you can not see yourself living without them. Everybody gets married because they feel like they're at the right age or they want to have kids or whatever. Those ultimately are going to cause more problems than they're worth, except for the children that you may or may not have. So I would say that's the one thing. Don't hook up with anybody full-time because marriage is not easy, even if you're good at it. The other thing is, if you'll just be loyal and nice and a little more honest and open than you feel like you can be comfortably, it's going to save you a lot of stuff, a lot of problems. So try to be honest and that's been one thing it's been easy for me to do, is not lie and not deceive and try not to talk behind people's back. And that comes with age. Like in your 20s, that's really all you want to do. But when you get older, that's a big thing. You'll have fewer enemies that way. And if you do have problems with people, go say something to their face. Have one uncomfortable conversation as opposed to waiting on it to organically end it, take care of itself. Because that one little uncomfortable conversation you'll walk away from, you'll feel better about it. And most of the time, the anger you're holding in, the people you're talking to are not holding that same level of anger. And being able to say, I'm sorry, goes so far. So be okay doing that. Those are just some general things.
And as we're wrapping this up, because you're always pretty, I don't want to say vicious, but you're very clear cut with me. We got about 3 minutes, but what's my problem? What's your advice for me? You've told my audience. I want you, and don't be gentle, because you never are with me.
I like you. It's a problem. Like there's people in this building possibly that I don't like as much, but I really like you. I think you're doing a lot really well. Honestly, I would tell you to be as selective as you're being with girls. I think that you are getting to the age where you're going to start feeling some pressure. And you're going to be thinking, I really need to try to lock one of these down and get this done. I want kids, I think that's a horrible idea. All it's doing is setting you up for at the best case, an unhappy marriage. So I would tell you to continue to be as selective, if not more selective, and broaden your range a little bit more.
Yeah, and for me, the person that I should choose, who do you think that should be? How will I know?
They need to love you more than you love them.
Wow.
Almost always, that's my advice to people. Find somebody that loves you more than you love them, because the other way around, there's so many questions that will come into play. And I will openly admit, now I love my wife more than she loves me, probably. But when we started, I was the catch, and she loved me more, and it made things easier. So you need to wait until that one person comes along where you're like, you know what, I love this girl a lot, but I think she loves me more.
Well, I got to say, I love you. If you took me to a restaurant where the whole thing is to have flapjacks with ranch dressing, I'd personally vomit. But I'm happy that you think that's a fantastic date, and I'm happy.
Good litmus test, man.
Listen, I'm a nut job. I like maple syrup with my pancakes, but
you don't eat them together.
I like cushions too. But listen, the great Fat Jack Ross. You see how open and honest and wonderful this guy is. He loves me, not enough for me to be his son-in-law, but he loves me enough.
I have limits, exactly. I don't want to see you every day, but as much as I see you, it's a good sweet spot for us.
And you know what? There's a tree outside Fox 5 that I would like you and I, if we could just go underneath the tree and just hold hands.
I will tell you.
And if we could take a picture and I could put that up in,
Because trees can get dicey. Two things that don't mix are intimate situations with girls and IBS.
Wow.
You do not want those two things going together.
Well, you know what? You've never dated an Ashkenazi Jew with Crohn's disease. Listen, I think that's a good time to wrap this up. Fat Jack Ross. Go to fatjacksports.com if you want to make some money. Sports gambling, that's the way to go. Fat Jack Ross, dry heave, dry heat. I'm going to say it both ways now because I love you so much. Thanks for spending some time.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Guys, we'll see you next time here in the den for Dry Heat or Dry Heave.